Texans, 44. Is it 44? I've lost my page. To 10 over the Ravens. Texans move to 2-3. Ravens fall to 1-4. Do you have the inactives handy for the Ravens?
It's basically the injury report we read out before, but it's everybody. It's all
Lamar
the important
Jackson,
players.
Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith.
When we read it out, right, before, it was during the week. It's like, oh, look at all. Normally you read the injury report and you know that, quite a lot of players from the injury report are still going to play because they're just not practicing or whatever it is. But in this, almost everybody from the injury report didn't play. They lost everybody. So they were already down Matabike, their best defensive tackle pass rusher. They didn't have Roquan Smith, all-pro linebacker. They didn't have all-pro safety Kyle Hamilton. I think they were without their top three of their top four corners, I think I'm right in saying. They were without left tackle Ronnie Stanley. Of course, Lamar Jackson wasn't playing as well. So it's like you're missing the spine of a defense. You're missing all of your best defensive players. You're missing your quarterback, obviously an MVP, multiple-time MVP. You're missing his left tackle. So the backup is dealing with a problem on the offensive line as well. Like, almost all of their most important players were not playing in this game.
So all that said, the Houston Texans, who had scored 64 points over the first 4 games, that's 16 per game, 64 points in 4 games, dropped 44 on the Ravens, who have now given up 35 per game, by far the worst in the NFL right now. C.J. Stroud. So, again, it's a difficult game where you have to at least understand the proper context, and I think even the most diehard Texans fan will understand they had an advantage here.
Yes.
Now, it wasn't as extreme as, say, like Rams 49ers, but it was more extreme, I would say, than Rams 49ers, and the Niners were able to overcome. So you still have to take care of business, and the Texans did that. Stroud, go ahead.
Scott Hansen from Red Zone had a stat about it that the Ravens were missing $160 million worth of salary cap players in this game for their injury. I mean, that's pretty significant.
It is. It's very significant. So Texans still had to take care of business, and they did. 23 of 27 for Stroud, 244, 4 touchdowns. Finds Xavier Hutchinson for 2 touchdowns. Jalen Noel got into the action late.
Then did the Ray Lewis dance.
Then was it Jair got very upset with that? Yeah. Nick Chubb with a big 27-yard touchdown in there. Stroud had a nice 30-yard scramble to set things up as well. So, look, it was very efficient.
Stroud.
Yeah, very efficient Houston offense.
They didn't have to punt until like midway through the fourth quarter. They just scored everything.
Felt like that.
Yeah.
Then when you've got Cooper Rush, I mean, there was only so much that he could do. Funky interception. Jalen Petrie jumps a route for an interception. There was another interception later where the ball just bounced up a couple times, and Houston picked it off. So it's a good Houston defense against a beat-up Ravens team, and they did what they should have done. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate because you have to acknowledge that, look, Baltimore's defense has been struggling badly all season. So it's not like you can just say, well, it's only the fact that they're injured. They've been terrible this year, even with everybody healthy. So there's definitely a problem in this Baltimore defense. However, they were missing so many players and all of the important players on that side of the ball that I don't know that there's any other way this game would have gone, right? Like, okay, you can look at the 49ers game and say, yeah, sometimes backups can play well. You look at preseason, though, and you say most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time, the second string unit is on the field, it's only going one way. It's like an instant score for the first team unit. It's easy. The gap in quality between like a first string unit and a second string unit in today's NFL is vast. So whether it's defense or whether it's the offensive line, like the second you're that deep into the bench, it's only going one way. And so I think that's basically the way. And for Houston as well, as much as they've been struggling on offense, it's through one glaring Achilles heel. Like if you negate that as an advantage, like Houston's offensive line is terrible. If you can't get pressure, well then they've no problem. Now you're dealing with C.J. Stroud, who's a really good quarterback, despite the offensive line in front of him, and a group of receivers that can cook, and a running back like Nick Chubb is a really good running back, albeit not quite what he used to be. I mean, all that can do damage if the offensive line is not undermining the whole thing all the way through the game. And that's what happens. Like you go to Baltimore with their backup defense, simply could not dominate against that offensive line. And so suddenly, of course, they're going to get wrecked by the Houston offense.
And as you said, the Baltimore defense has been bad pretty much every game. The Buffalo comeback in week 1, Detroit crushed them in week 3, and then Kansas City last week. It honestly had me rethinking. We'll see what Kansas City is going to play tonight against Jacksonville. Had me rethinking my Kansas City takes. I'm like, oh yeah, Chiefs are back. They look great.
But we asked that question coming out of that game. Like, was that the Chiefs being back?
We did,
or
and
did
then
they simply play the Ravens?
Then you have one more week of a little bit of evidence, even though, there's no Kyle Hamilton, and they're a little bit more banged up than they were defensively against the Chiefs. And then it's like, all right, the team that was scoring 64 points drops 44, a couple short fields, of course. Are the Ravens now just the get-right spot for every single offense, Kansas City included? We'll learn a little bit more tonight in the Chiefs-Jags game.
Yeah. I mean, the bigger thing for Baltimore is, they're in real trouble now. Like, they're 1-4. We've talked about how brutal their schedule is. At some point, you would assume they will be better when they get everybody healthy, but they're running out of wiggle room for that to happen. Like, the 49ers have been winning these games with everybody hurt, and so that buys them an incredible amount of margin for error. The Ravens have been losing these games and are getting more injured. You have no more margin for error. And your team was playing terribly even before everybody got hurt.
So we'll talk from a Ravens perspective. They're 1-4 now. Lamar Jackson's probably going to miss one more game, and then they have a bye. So they have the Rams next week. You could be sitting here at 1-5.
Yeah.
It's not insurmountable, as in, like, it's not impossible, but you are running up against, like, what the Bengals ran into last year, where Cincinnati, were they 1-5? Like, they were in such a deep hole. And then it was like, all right, now you have to win 8 out of 9 and have 6 other teams fall in front of you. And it almost all happened for Cincinnati. But that's what Baltimore, if they're going to get back on track at all, first off, they have to fix the defense. They got to get healthy. And then they have to have a million things go their way just to sneak into the playoffs. And then we could be talking here in December, man, you don't want Baltimore to sneak into the playoffs. You don't want them to be the team that you're playing at 9 as a 9-8 team. But, we're still weeks away from even having that discussion.
Agreed. I think their season is probably done at this point, albeit they can make it interesting for a while. I will say that there are some players that were left standing and theoretically healthy in this game on defense who need to answer some questions about how ineffective they were, particularly on that defensive line. Like Kyle Van Noy. Remember that he was on that graphic for, like, sack leaders last season, and it was like, that's a name that doesn't feel like it belongs there, even though he was, I think, 3rd or 4th or something in sacks last season. Well, Kyle Van Noy did not dominate against these guys. Former top draft pick Odafe Owe did nothing against a rookie offensive tackle in Ronte Ursery, who's kind of been a turnstile this season. David Ojabo, another former high draft pick. Like, they have bodies up front that were there and healthy, and those guys did nothing against this terrible offensive line. That's a huge indictment of this defensive front. Whatever about, sure, you're missing Madubuike and Roquan and Kyle Hamilton and all these really important players. Yeah, but none of you guys could beat Ronte Ursery at any point? No? Nothing? No?
Yeah, no signs of life on that side of the ball. By the way, did we say Jordan Jefferson at some point? Did I say Jordan Jefferson earlier?
I don't know.
Someone's questioning whether or not we've done that.
There are times
I know it's Justin.
When we're talking a lot. I think, I don't know if this is an age thing, whether we've just reached this point where the synapses aren't firing as well as they need to, where your brain apparently just says things that it forgot to relay to you internally that's what it was saying. I apparently said that Billy Bowman played for the 49ers the other day when we were running through rookies.
There's a good chance.
That didn't register in my brain.
So now
I'm
wondering.
100% convinced I was saying he was an Atlanta Falcon. But people in the comments were like, Billy Bowman, the 49ers?
And then I just, maybe I've been saying Jordan Jefferson forever, and you're just too nice to call me out on it.
Or I just don't listen to you. Either is possible.
It is possible. Maybe it's you saying Jordan. I know it's Justin, though.
Maybe one of
He's the receiver. Jordan's the guy that's bounced a former Jaguars pick, who's bouncing around the league right now at defensive tackle. From a Texans perspective, for our Texans fans out there, I use the phrase "take care of business" a lot, but I think it's an important one to just have some rhythm on offense, get Christian Kirk involved, get Nico Collins involved, get Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Nick Chubb had the long run, and I want to say it's the best C.J. Stroud's looked in a while. Well, last week was the best Patrick Mahomes had looked, or at least that offense had looked in a while. But you still need to do that, and I think it's important for Houston to at least have momentum, or at least take advantage of what was there from Baltimore.
And it validates the thought that, look, the only problem here is the offensive line. Like, if we get that fixed, or even just average, creep back toward average, like if we just make the offensive line to the point where it's not a complete liability every single week, this is what can happen.
Yeah.
Like, it does show that, I mean, okay, there's quite a lot that needs to happen to get to that point, but it does show you that if this offensive line was just a regular, normal platform, C.J. Stroud can still go out there and ball. Like, this is what is happening on a weekly basis for this Houston team is the offensive line is so terrible that nothing else can function. This shows you that if you just take that away as a problem, Stroud looks great, the receivers look great, even Nick Chubb looked great. Like, it can all look good again. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos, and who are we to argue?